What is going on, fellow flock members? Birdman1216 here, back with some more Reddit content. Today I'll be taking a look at a Reddit that I haven't done before, but I've seen some requests for, so please enjoy episode number 1 of r/MaliciousCompliance. You won't answer to a lesbian? You're fired. I can't decide if this should go in pro-revenge, but I think I'll post it here. Sorry for the bad formatting, I'm on mobile. Some background, I've been working at this company for 3 years, since I graduated university. I was employed at the time as a few other people, and surprised to find one of them was my teacher in high school. She had taught me the skills I needed for this job and was very skilled herself, but had unfortunately been forced to resign from my high school in the time between my graduation from high school and starting at this company. She's a really amazing person, so I was a little confused, but didn't ask any questions because it wasn't my business why she left my high school, a conservative Catholic high school in a conservative area, which will come into the story later. This story happened last week and involves a woman I'll call Deborah. My high school teacher will go by Lisa. Deborah works for me and she supervises the people with the role Lisa and I were employed as 3 years ago, if that makes sense. I've had 2 promotions since then, as I am quite experienced and have worked in this field since I was 13. My employer from then had a permit, so it was legal for me to work for her even though I would usually have to be 15. I noticed Lisa was still working in the same role she did when we were first employed, and since Deborah was the one with the power to promote her, I asked her why Lisa was still working in such a low role in the company. You have the power to promote Lisa, and she is really skilled. Why haven't you already? But ma'am, she's a lesbian. So why haven't you promoted her? I'm not answering to a lesbian. She can stay at the bottom of the company with such a small pay, she deserves it. She's really skilled, efficient, and hardworking. What's being a lesbian have to do with how good she is at her job? Nothing. She is really skilled, but... yeah, she is. She trained me. I don't care. I'm not promoting a lesbian. I will not work for a lesbian. You won't work for a lesbian. No, I will not. Right then, I'm sure that can be arranged. Since I myself am a lesbian and a happily married one, may I add, you won't be working for me anymore. You're fired. But you've made your choice. You may not return to this company. Please be ready to leave by the end of the week. I will have Lisa replace you, and since she will do a better job than you ever had. Goodbye. I then proceeded to continue with my work and completely ignore the profanity she was screaming at me. The next day I informed my supervisors, who were happy to see her leave and agreed that Lisa should be the one to replace her. Lisa was overjoyed to hear that Deborah was leaving and that she would replace her. I found out later that Deborah was treating her so terribly. She was struggling with depression. I also found out the reason why she was forced to resign from my high school. A group of boys found out that she's gay and spread the rumor to everyone they could. It soon reached the principal, who suggested she resign because
her lifestyle choices go against the morals of the school and its students.
She was forced out by the principal and his favorite staff. It's terrible to think that something she can't control made her lose her job, and could have just as easily cost her job at our company as well, if I hadn't fired Deborah. Everything worked out well though. I heard Deborah got a minimum wage job at McDonald's, and Lisa is now happy in her new position. We have a rule in our company that someone may only be promoted if they have spent 6 months in the role that they are getting promoted from. One of my colleagues, who has the same position I do, is resigning in 6 months. In a meeting without supervisors, we agreed that Lisa should get the job because she deserves it. So, really, everything ended amazingly. Well, it sounds like everyone at her company is having a gay old time, if you know what I mean. Also, for anyone who wants to get mad at that statement, I can make that statement because I'm gay. Don't worry about the ants because they're outside? Okay. Many moons ago, back when smartphones didn't exist yet, I managed a major fast food restaurant in Florida. As many of you know, Florida is where you go to visit if you want to be eaten alive by bugs, alligators, snakes, etc. So in addition to doing basic managerial tasks at my store, I've also been known to help out with odd pest problems like throwing venomous spiders outside and removing snakes from the premises, but nothing too insane. That sounds kind of insane to me because where I live up in rural New England, you don't get that too often. Spiders, yes. Snakes, not so much. Well, one day my bosses sold all of their restaurants to a man that we'll call IB, Idiot Boss. I barely saw him because he was very hands-off kind of boss, and I generally liked him because he didn't enforce a bunch of ridiculous rules like my previous bosses did, and he understood that I knew how to run that store. If I ever needed anything, I would just call him and let him know, and he would usually just tell one of the workers from his sister store to go help me with whatever I needed to help with. He avoided going to his stores like the plague. But one day out of the blue, he showed up. Normally, he'd only stop by after midnight once the store was closed, but he only did that about once a week. He was just there to do some paperwork that he didn't get around to doing that night before. No big deal. And I was helping a customer that had just walked in. My sweet customer informed me that he had just seen a flying ant on our front door when he walked in. I thanked him for letting me know, and I told him that I'd look into it. After I got done helping my customer, I went to go check out the ant, but there were now 2 flying ants on the outside of the door. Uh-oh, that's how swarms start. 1 is fine, it might go away. 2 is bad because the first one liked the door so much that it told its buddy about it. So I went back inside and I told Idiot Boss to call pest control because there were 2 out there, and there were about to be a lot more. Idiot Boss laughed because I was scared of some ants outside. He thought I wasn't afraid of anything, and it's true. I'm not afraid of some flying ants. I know they can fly and I know they can bite, but I don't like being dismissed like that. I don't needlessly tell people to do things. I told him again that he needed to call pest control, and he told me not to worry about it as long as they weren't inside. Cue malicious compliance. On his way out the door, he made a point to tease me again because there were only 4 out there. I laughed politely and waved goodbye to him. Over the next few days, more and more flying ants showed up. They had really liked the door for some reason. It got to the point where there were a good few hundred on it. Now, as I'm sure you can imagine, I wasn't worried about them because, like Idiot Boss said, hey, they weren't in the store. Once it hit around day 4 of the swarm, customers almost completely stopped coming in with the exception of some brave lawn care guys and a pest control guy who left me his card. My customers didn't want to get bitten, and I didn't blame them. Then on day 5, a manager from one of the sister stores stopped by in to grab some food that their store had run out of. She was stunned by how many ants there were. I shrugged and told her that I told Idiot Boss already, but she decided to call him, and she told him that there were now hundreds of flying ants. I don't know what exactly he said to her, but I do remember that after that phone call, she pointed out that he never listens to the female managers. I think she may have been right about that, but that's a story for another day. I said goodbye to her as she texted through the back door. Wow, did I really just read the word exited as texted? As she exited through the back door, and she told me to enjoy doing nothing for the rest of my shift. Eventually the boss came back to the store for his once-a-week visit, which was in the middle of the night because that was normal for him, and he must have had a conniption because he called me as soon as I walked into the store that following morning. He was so mad, but not at me. He went on a huge rant about how there must be something wrong with Florida, and how we lost so much money due to customers not coming in. He asked me if I'd be okay working a half day, and I said sure. He called pest control and they solved the problem the next day. He also got more hands-on with all of his stores after that, and he listened to me a little better, which was nice. See, I'm not sure if this is a case of him realizing how dumb he was acting before, or if he didn't learn anything because he just decided to blame the state. Oh well, at least the original poster's happy, so points for her. Want to enforce outdated policies but not others? How about I just follow all policies to a T? So I worked at a high-end grocery store on the East Coast up until yesterday. I'll preface with a bit of background. I love this job, the people and management. It was such a fun place to work until a new manager was hired at the front end. We'll call her BM for bad manager. I also just graduated college and was offered a great position in my field, computer science, and was ready to quit anyway. For about 15 years, I was there for 6, our role was to maintain the parking lot and attend to the shopping carts. This new manager was hired and started to make many demands that we just kinda did because we didn't feel like putting up much of a fight. After a few months, however, things started to change. She started enforcing the most ridiculous policies, even little things like tucking in shirts, staying in strict zones in the parking lot and not being allowed to leave them, not being allowed to talk to other employees, couldn't wear any colors other than black or gray underneath our company sweaters, and other ridiculous things. She actually told me I couldn't wear a bright orange sweater underneath my bright orange work shirt. So, here's the kicker. After a while of insane requests, multiple people just quit on her because as 19-year-olds don't have bills to pay, they don't need to deal with the insane harassment she's been giving us for minimum wage. 3 workers quit, 3 managers under her quit, a manager in training requested a department change, and 2 other guys requested department transfers. Here's my malicious compliance. Thursday I opened the store, which for me entails sweeping the lot, making sure the lobby is full, changing garbages, cleaning the bushes around the store, and a slew of other things. This is not part of my job. I do it because I like when the store is clean for customers. I do this from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. and the next shift comes in at 9 a.m. At around 8 a.m. I've completely finished everything and the store was dead, as grocery stores are at 8 a.m. on Thursdays, and I went to talk to 2 older people that work at the cashiers inside. Bad manager comes in at 8 a.m. and calls me over to her office. She then proceeds to tell me that I'm not allowed to talk to my friends, I can't wear my orange sweatshirt, and I have to tuck in my shirt and sweatshirt, which I don't know if anyone has ever tucked in their sweatshirt, but it's quite uncomfortable. I try to ask why, and she is so unreasonable and just cites an outdated employee handbook. I just yes her to death and finish my shift. I go home and decide to read the employee handbook and every single document I have available to me. These are legal documents published by the company and everything. I find some gems such as I can wear white, blue, navy, black, or gray shirts from April 1st to September 31st. If extra warmth is needed, I can wear maroon, black, navy, or gray sweatshirts. And some other things like tight-fitting clothes are not allowed. She wears yoga pants every day. I come in wearing bright white shorts, a burgundy sweatshirt, and backwards white hat, and nothing resembling what her idea of our uniform is, and she started going off. She tells me to change or go home, and I just smile, politely citing Employee Handbook page 47, subsection 2, bullets 1, 2, and 3, and also direct her to Handbook page 46, subsection 5, bullet 6, which states that tight-fitting clothes and pants are inappropriate. I then go outside and start to finish my shift. This shift, however, I did nothing outside my job description. Garbages? Nope, sorry, that's actually maintenance's job. Sweepings, recyclings, bushes? Not in my handbook, nor job description. The store looks awful. I didn't leave my zone, so 4/5 of the parking lot was a mess, but not my zone. They call me into HR to discuss what just happened and what's going on. I politely explain the situation about how bad manager is the worst manager I've ever had the displeasure to work for, and is trying to implement ridiculous policies that have never been implemented and make our job so much harder than it is. I then said I will be following the handbook exactly as it's written. I then handed in my 2 weeks, and they were very taken aback. I'm the only person who they have hired that can open, and without me no one comes in until 9. They told me to go home and paid me out for my next 2 weeks, and the word on the street is the owner was screaming at her last night. Feels good. I feel like this kind of thing always happens with people who are in position of new power, if you will. They get thrill out of telling other people what they can or can't do, all the while doing things that they shouldn't be able to do. That's what I like to call an imbalanced power dynamic. Alright everyone, that's all the time I have for you today. But I did just want to make one more announcement. I do now have a Discord, so if you'd like to join my Discord, it'll be in the description box. There isn't too much happening in there right now, but as more people join, I'll sort of start adding more and more features, and hopefully you guys will enjoy talking to each other. I'll be in there sometimes. It'll just be a place where you guys can hang out and share your own stories with each other, and if one of you guys shares like a story that's I think is really good, then there's a chance I'll read it on the channel. But that's pretty much it. I hope you guys enjoyed. I would appreciate if you gave the video a like, and if you haven't already subscribed, if you would do that, that would mean a lot to me. Anyway, Birdman1216 signing off. As always, links to all the original stories can be found in the description box below.